News 10's Crystal Rosado spoke with an animal control intake worker who was on the scene during the rescue. Crystal, how are the dogs doing?
Taryn Gordon, Randy Wingate told me the dogs were just scared. None of them acted violently in any way. She also says the owner was cooperative. This was the scene this morning as 9 dogs ranging from 3 months to 5 years old were loaded up and taken to Waco Animal Shelter. Jay House lives near the trailer where the dogs were locked up and says he's happy he doesn't have to think about the animals suffering anymore.
You know, when it comes to pets getting abused or things like this happening, it's a real touchy thing.
Randy Wingate says now that the dogs are in the shelter, they will begin the intake process.
On how they come in, and if they need a bath, we definitely try to take the time or find a volunteer to give them a good bath. Upon intake, when their nails are long, we do try to trim their nails. Anything that we see we can do right then, we do stop and try to do it for them.
Once they're all cleaned up, they head to the adoption room where there's no short of love and attention. Neighbors like Tamika Dickey says they're just happy the animals will soon be in a new home.
It's been 2 months and the animals finally get a second chance.
The owner told the sheriff department that he would feed the dogs nightly. No criminal charges have been filed against him. Once again, the dogs are healthy and available for adoption early next week. Thank you again to our viewers who called in. Because of you, these dogs will soon find new homes. Crystal Rosado, KWTX News 10.
It started with an IED, then here comes small alarm fire, and there was a lot of panic.
Jerry Martin says he relives the moment that triggered his PTSD every day. He was driving a Humvee when all of a sudden they were hit and one of his soldiers was thrown from the vehicle.
I saw the blood. It was on me, of course, and all I know to do, I was focusing on him. I wasn't worried about if I got shot or this or that, whatever. I just felt he was my crew and I needed to save him. Brought him over to safety, but by the time I got him over there, he was dead.
Jerry says he has tried every program offered by the VA and now he's ready to try HBOT therapy. However, it's only been approved to treat infections, gangrene, and diabetic foot. Dr. Robert Plemons says the oxygen chambers have saved limbs because they're able to generate blood flow.
While you're in the chamber, the levels of oxygen in your blood rise to very high levels. So during the time in the chamber, you're experiencing levels of oxygen in your tissue that you can't achieve when you're not in a pressurized environment.
So far, there's no proof that this therapy will be useful in treating PTSD, but studies are still underway.
I am willing to consider that it might be a benefit to some people, but I don't have good evidence to support that.
Jerry says he's holding out hope that it'll work.
I latched onto it because I feel, what else am I going to do?
3-year-old Reagan was born with spina bifida. Although you can't tell by the way he's actively playing around, just a year ago he was unable to stand, let alone walk. His mom, Jody Smith, says there was one point in her pregnancy where doctors told her to hope for the best, but be prepared for the worst.
That he would more than likely be paralyzed from the waist down, that he wouldn't have feeling, that he would probably more than likely, be in a wheelchair.
Jody says doctors told her many women in her shoes often choose not to go along with the pregnancy.
In the pregnancy, because if you weren't going to be able to, deal with those circumstances, and that was kind of what they kind of pushed us towards. It was something really hard to try to figure out what would be the best for our little boy, but we always said that nobody's ever given up on us, so we weren't going to give up on him.
Reagan's dad, Justin Smith, says thinking of that time in their life brings him to tears.
Floored me that so many people out there do that without even giving them a chance. Oh.
So they made it their mission to do whatever they could to give their kid a shot at a normal life, but finding treatment wasn't always easy. They began with an in-home service provided by another treatment center.
It was very discouraging when they came because they weren't all about him and treating him, and they would get very frustrated because he would get upset and he didn't want to cooperate, and they just told me that, they couldn't help him.
That's when the Smiths were referred to the West Texas Rehab Center. Jody and Justin say Reagan's progress has been remarkable to watch.
He would pull up, and then we started with a walker, and he had a walker for a few short months, and then he just took off on his own.
It's pretty neat. There was a long time there I didn't know what was going to happen.
Megan Cheek is Riggins' physical therapist. She says she takes time to find out what interests Riggins so she can build her therapy around that.
Now, one of our goals is running with a better pattern and running without tripping, and so one of his favorite games is baseball. So we can get running in by playing baseball in the gym. He loves to play in the ball pit. That's another great way to use strengthening.
Jody says it's not just about the treatment, it's about how the center goes above and beyond for her family.
They've all been very, very helpful, and anything that they can help us do, any medical equipment they can help us get, anything that they can help us in any way, they're more than willing. And my kids think of them as family.
Megan says she believes as Riggin gets older, he will no longer need therapy and he will be able to continue to live a normal, active boy's life. For 7 News, Crystal Rosado.